I think that society has it all wrong with the concept of failed relationships. I don't actually believe there is such thing as failed relationships. I think that there are tragic endings that don't need to be, where two parties are really unkind, or they're avoidant, or disengaged, or detached, and then it kind of ends without the ability to maturely work through a transition with kindness. And then I also think that we have it wrong when we celebrate the measurement of time as an indicator as a successful relationship. Just because you've been with somebody for a long time doesn't mean that you are engaged in relating. And in life, we're all collaborating together. And I like to view relationships as these creative, collaborative art forms, kind of like you are creating a song with somebody. And sometimes it's just a song that you're creating, and sometimes it's a whole symphony, and sometimes it's multiple symphonies. And just because you created one song with somebody doesn't make the beauty of that art less valid. You know? Are you collaborating? Are you engaged in relating? That to me is an indicator of successful relationships. I know how painful it can be to reflect on your life and think about the friendships that were lost because there was an unwillingness to meet each other in the challenge of conflict. And then it sometimes gets swept under the rug. We go into these avoidant patterns, and then it feels scarier to approach these conversations because somebody's hurt or you're hurt. And then that goes on, builds up, and then eventually people drift. And to me, that's a tragic ending. That didn't necessarily have to happen. I would like to invite grace that it happens. That's part of the great mystery of relating with others and getting your heart broken in friendships, in romantic relationships. And now that we have this awareness that we can be engaged together, how can we show up to that? Because it's so painful when you lose a friend or a romantic partner because there's an unwillingness to meet each other in your vulnerability and love each other in the validity of both of your stories. So there's no such thing as failed relationships. They are what they need to be. They have a purpose in your life. And it's less about, I don't think of successful relationships as the length of time, which I think society celebrates. I think of it as how engaged are you in meeting each other, in creating with each other, in being vulnerable together. That's success. We don't need tragic endings. It sucks, doesn't it? There can be transitions, but imagine people approach them with kindness, mutual respect, curiosity, creativity, with a bold courage that, hey, you're already seeing the friendship or the relationship die. What do you have to lose to really go for it? Because only creativity will come from that. Only clarity will come from those conversations. And you know how much it sucks to feel alone in your pain. So how can you share that? You already know what it feels like to have a broken heart. What more do you have to lose? We only have gains to make when we courageously lean into love, lean into that unity, not in the isolation of your own pain and separation. So every relationship serves a purpose. Different people serve different purposes in your life. And how can we show up for that?